This is HOA citation circus. They wanted control. This is not getting delayed. Karen yelled that the tow vendor was owed money, and I was the easiest target. She stood on my driveway with her flashlight aimed at my truck, waving a laminated policy sheet in her other hand like it was a warrant. The rain had stopped 10 minutes ago, but puddles reflected the streetlights and I could see her red visor dripping. I am holding a folded invoice packet in a clear sleeve, my brown jacket soaked through, and I am trying not to lose it. Heather Walker is the records custodian for the Survey Ridge Reserve Association here in Denver, Colorado, and she has been making my life hell for 3 weeks. I work as a mortgage loan officer, so I understand what happens when liens stack up and paperwork goes sideways. My lease addendum is tied directly to HOA compliance, which means any violation on record can trigger a clause that puts my entire rental at risk. That is the stakes. Heather knows it. She takes a step closer, her pink windbreaker rustling. "You owe the association $85 for the tow dispatch fee from last month," she says. Her voice is loud enough that my neighbor 2 units down pauses at his mailbox. "If you do not pay by tomorrow morning, I am authorizing another tow and adding a lien filing fee." I shake my head. I never got towed last month. Nobody towed my truck. You are making this up. She smiles, that smug little grin she does when she thinks she has me. "Go ahead and call whoever you want, I have a committee for that." She jangles her key ring, the sound sharp and deliberate, like punctuation. Then she turns and walks back toward the mailbox cluster, her flashlight beam swinging across the wet asphalt. I stand there, water dripping off my white baseball cap, and I realize something. This is not the first time someone in this neighborhood has dealt with phantom fees and missing records. About 8 months ago, a guy 3 buildings over got hit with a violation for an unapproved shed. But the shed had been there for 5 years and the original owners swore they filed the approval. The case just vanished from the meeting minutes. Nobody could prove anything because the records custodian claimed the paperwork was lost in a system migration. That records custodian was Heather. I pull out my phone and start a new note file. I write down the date, the time, and exactly what she just said. I write down every word, because later I plan to read them back to her. The next morning I drive to the management company office on the south side of Denver. The building is a low brick structure with a glass door and a waiting area that smells like old coffee. The property manager, a woman named Diane, is standing behind the counter with a forced smile that does not reach her eyes. She sees me coming and her shoulders tense. "I need copies of the tow dispatch logs for last month," I say. "And I need the complaint file for my address." She glances at her computer screen. "You will need to submit a records request through the portal." I already did. 3 times. It keeps timing out. She clicks her mouse a few times, not looking at me. "The portal is having some technical issues. You can try again later." I set the invoice packet on the counter. This is a copy of my parking permit and my guest registration log. Nobody towed my truck. Nobody even ticketed it. Heather is claiming I owe a dispatch fee for a tow that never happened. Diane's forced smile flickers. I will have to check with Heather on that. "Where is she?" "She is out doing site inspections this morning." I lean on the counter. "Diane, I know you have the logs. I know the tow company keeps a dispatch record. If there was no tow, there is no fee. If Heather is making this up, that is fraud." Diane's face goes pale, but she does not move. "I will leave a message for Heather and have her call you." I walk out, frustrated but not surprised. I get in my truck and start driving toward the tow yard on the east side of town. I have a regional supervisor from my mortgage company coming through Denver today, and this is my one chance to get eyes on the file before everything escalates. If the HOA files a lien on my unit, it will show up in the title search and my lease addendum will trigger an automatic violation. I cannot let that happen. The tow yard is a gravel lot surrounded by chain link fencing. The office is a metal trailer with a window cut into the side. The clerk is a heavy-set guy with a stained polo shirt and a radio clipped to his belt. I show him my invoice packet and explain the situation. He pulls up the dispatch log on his computer and scrolls through it. No record of a tow at your address last month, he says. If we dispatched, it would be here. We keep everything. Can you print that for me? He hesitates. I am not supposed to give out logs without a request from the association. I am not asking for someone else's records. I am asking for proof that my truck was never towed. He glances at the doorway behind him, then back at the screen. He clicks print and hands me a single sheet. This is all I can do. If the HOA is claiming a dispatch fee without a tow, that is between you and them. I take the printout and fold it into my packet. Thank you. As I walk back to my truck, I see an orange reflective marker stuck into the grass at the edge of the parking lot. It is the same kind Heather plants at curbs when she wants to mark a violation. I have seen her do it before. She walks past someone's porch, plants the marker, then comes back later with a camera and a notice. It is her signature move. I take a photo of the marker and add it to my evidence file. Then I call my friend Marcus, who works at the county courthouse. He is the one who explained the lien filing process to me when I first started worrying about this mess. Marcus answers on the second ring. Hey, what is going on? I need to know how to request a full records audit from an HOA. Heather is stonewalling me on the portal, and I think she is hiding something bigger. He pauses. You are talking about a formal audit request under the state statute? Yeah. That is not easy. You need to show cause, and you need at least 10% of the homeowners to sign off on it. But if you can prove she is altering records or backdating complaints, you can file a complaint with the Division of Real Estate. That will trigger an investigation. How do I prove it? You need originals. Timestamps. Anything that shows a discrepancy between what she filed and what actually happened. I hang up and sit in my truck for a minute, thinking. The shed case. The guy 3 buildings over. If Heather was running a scheme back then, there has to be a trail. I drive back to the neighborhood and park near the mailbox cluster. I see the guy, his name is Eric, walking his dog near the retention pond. I get out and catch up to him. Eric, I say. Remember when you had that shed violation last year? He stops and looks at me, wary. Yeah. Why? Did you ever get your paperwork back? He shakes his head. Heather said it was lost. The board voted to let me keep the shed, but only because I had photos proving it was there before I bought the place. The approval form just vanished. Do you still have the photos? He nods. And I have the email thread where she kept changing the deadline for my appeal. Every time I submitted something, she said it was the wrong format or the wrong form. Can you send me that thread? He pulls out his phone and forwards it on the spot. Good luck, man. She tried to fine me $2,000 for that shed. I only got out of it because my realtor knew someone on the board. I thank him and walk back to my truck. I open the email thread on my phone and start reading. The goalpost moving is blatant. Heather tells Eric to submit a written statement, then claims she never got it. He submits a PDF. She says it has to be a scanned hard copy. He brings the hard copy to the office. She says he missed the deadline by 1 day and now he has to refile with a late fee. Every step is designed to trap him. I screenshot the entire thread and add it to my evidence folder. That night, I sit at my kitchen table and spread out everything I have. The tow log showing no dispatch. The email thread from Eric. The invoice packet showing my parking permit was valid. The photo of the orange reflective marker. The complaint log entry from my portal account, which I finally got to load after trying 15 times. The complaint is written in a voice that sounds exactly like Heather. It uses her exact phrasing. I will make an example out of you so everyone learns. I write down a timeline. 8 months ago, Heather targets Eric with a shed violation using forged or missing paperwork. 6 months ago, another neighbor gets a landscaping fine that later gets reversed when they produce receipts showing they hired an approved vendor. 3 weeks ago, Heather starts targeting me with a tow fee that never happened. Every case has the same pattern: selective enforcement, missing records, goalposts that move the second you comply. And then I see it. The complaint log entry has a timestamp. It was created at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, but the notice Heather handed me was dated the day before, Monday. She backdated it. She wrote the complaint after the fact and altered the timestamp to make it look like it came earlier. That is fraud. I text Marcus. I have proof. Timestamps do not match. Complaint was backdated. He texts back immediately. That is enough to file. Do it tomorrow. I do not sleep much that night. The next morning, I submit a formal complaint to the Division of Real Estate. I attach the tow log. I attach the email thread from Eric. I attach the screenshot showing the timestamp mismatch. I write a cover letter explaining the pattern. Selective enforcement. Records that vanish. Backdated complaints. I name Heather directly. Then I email a copy of the complaint to every homeowner in the Survey Ridge Reserve Association. I use the directory from the HOA website. I do not hide it. I want everyone to see. Within an hour, my phone starts buzzing. Text messages from neighbors I barely know. Some are supportive. Some are angry. One guy tells me I am making trouble for no reason. Another woman says she got hit with a phantom fine last year and nobody believed her. Then Heather calls. Her voice is shaking. You just made a huge mistake. I stay calm. I filed a legitimate complaint with the state. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to worry about. I will make an example out of you so everyone learns, she says. You are going to regret this. She hangs up. 2 days later, I get an email from the HOA board. It is a meeting notice. Emergency session. My complaint is on the agenda. Attendance is mandatory for all residents. The meeting is scheduled for Friday night at the management company office. I text Marcus. They are railroading me. He texts back. Show up. Bring everything. Do not let them intimidate you. Friday comes fast. I spend the afternoon organizing my evidence into a binder. Tow log first. Email thread from Eric second. Complaint timestamp screenshot third. Photos of the orange reflective markers fourth. I print everything and slide it into plastic sleeves. I arrive at the management company office at 6:30. The lobby is packed. Neighbors I recognize, some I do not. Diane is standing near the doorway with her forced smile, clipboard in hand. Heather is sitting at a table near the front, her pink windbreaker draped over the back of her chair, her flashlight sitting on the table like a gavel. The board president, an older man named Ron, stands up and calls the meeting to order. He reads through the agenda in a monotone voice. Old business. New business. And then, complaint review regarding records access and enforcement procedures. He looks directly at me. The floor is open. I stand up and walk to the front. I set my binder on the table. I open it to the first page and hold it up. This is the tow log from the vendor. No dispatch at my address last month. Heather claimed I owed a fee for a tow that never happened. Heather interrupts. That is not accurate. The fee was for the dispatch call, not the tow itself. I flip to the next page. This is the email thread from a neighbor showing a pattern of moving goalposts. Every time he complied, Heather changed the requirements. Ron leans forward. We are not here to relitigate old cases. I flip to the next page. This is a screenshot of the complaint log entry from my portal account. It was created at 11 p.m. on Tuesday. The notice Heather handed me was dated Monday. She backdated it. The room goes quiet. Heather's face turns red. She grabs her flashlight and shines it at me. You are twisting the facts. I keep my voice steady. I am showing the timestamps. If there is an explanation, I would love to hear it. Ron clears his throat. We will need to review this in executive session. I shake my head. No. You are going to review it right now, in front of everyone. Heather stands up, slamming her hands on the table. This meeting is over. I am not sitting here and letting you slander me. She grabs her pink windbreaker and heads for the door. A neighbor near the back of the room, a woman named Carla, stands up. Wait, I want to hear her motion on record. Heather freezes. What? Carla crosses her arms. You are a board member. You cannot just walk out of a meeting without making a motion. That is in the bylaws. So what is your motion? Heather does not answer. She just stares at Carla, her jaw tight. Then she walks out. The door swings shut behind her, and her key ring falls off her belt and clatters onto the floor. Nobody moves to pick it up. Ron looks uncomfortable. We will reschedule this discussion for the next regular meeting. I point at the binder. Everything you need is right here. The records audit can start now. Ron shakes his head. That requires a majority vote from the board. Then call a vote. He glances at Diane, who is still standing near the doorway. She gives him a tiny shrug. Ron sighs and looks around the room. All in favor of initiating a records audit? 3 hands go up. 2 stay down. The motion passes. I sit back down, my heart pounding. This is progress, but it is not over. After the meeting, Marcus texts me, "You did good. Now you wait for the audit." I text back, "How long?" He replies, "Could be weeks. Could be months. Depends on how much they fight it." I do not have months. My regional supervisor already flagged the potential lien issue. If the HOA files before the audit finishes, I am done. The next morning, I get a call from a number I do not recognize. I answer. A man's voice, calm and professional. "This is Alan from the Division of Real Estate. I am calling regarding your complaint against Survey Ridge Reserve Association." I sit up straight. "Yes. Thank you for calling. We have reviewed the materials you submitted. We are opening a formal investigation. We will need access to the association's records, and we will be conducting interviews with the board and the management company. This process can take 60 to 90 days. I close my eyes. That is too long. Alan pauses. "If you have additional evidence of imminent harm, you can request an expedited review." What counts as imminent harm? A lien filing, a foreclosure action, anything that threatens your property or financial standing. The HOA is threatening to file a lien over a fee that does not exist. He makes a note. I will flag this as expedited. In the meantime, I recommend you document everything. Every interaction, every notice, every email. I will. He hangs up. I sit there for a minute staring at my phone. Then I open my evidence folder and start adding new entries. I am going to document everything Heather does from this point forward. 2 days later, I am walking to my truck when I see Heather standing near the mailbox cluster. She is holding her flashlight in one hand and a stack of envelopes in the other. She sees me and smiles, that same smug grin. "I got your audit request," she says. "It is going to take a while. The records are stored off-site and we have to schedule a vendor to retrieve them. Could be 6 weeks, maybe longer." I stop walking. The bylaws say records have to be available within 10 business days. She shrugs. That is for current records. Historical records are different. I pull out my phone and start recording. "Say that again." She narrows her eyes. "You are not allowed to record me. I am standing on common property. I can record whatever I want." She takes a step closer, shining her flashlight at my phone. "You think you are so smart. You think you can embarrass me in front of the board and get away with it. I will make an example out of you so everyone learns. I keep the phone steady. You already said that. Twice. She turns and walks away, her key ring jangling loudly. I stop the recording and send it to Marcus. He texts back. Holy shit. She is digging her own grave. I text back. I know. But I still do not have the trump card yet. The trump card is something I have been holding since the day after the meeting. It is a document I found buried in my lease file. An HOA insurance document showing their coverage is at risk because of harassment claims. The policy requires the association to maintain a complaint resolution process that meets state standards. If they fail, the insurer can deny coverage for liability claims. That means if someone sues the HOA for selective enforcement or harassment, the association is on the hook for the full amount. I found the document because I requested a copy of my lease addendum from my landlord, and he accidentally sent me the entire lease packet, including the insurance rider. I have been sitting on it, waiting for the right moment. That moment is coming soon. A week goes by. The audit is officially scheduled, but Heather keeps stalling. First, she says the vendor cannot retrieve the records until next month. Then she says the storage unit is flooded and the records might be damaged. Then she says she needs approval from the board to release anything. I email the Division of Real Estate with an update. Alan responds within an hour. This is obstruction. We are escalating. 3 days later, Diane calls me. The board has agreed to release the records immediately. You can pick them up tomorrow at the office. I do not trust it, but I show up anyway. Diane hands me a file box. It is half full. Inside are scattered meeting minutes, a few complaint forms, and a stack of invoices. Nothing from 8 months ago. Nothing about Eric's shed case. Nothing about the other phantom fines. This is not everything, I say. Diane looks at her computer screen. That is what Heather provided. Where is the rest? She does not answer. I take the box and leave. I sit in my truck and go through every page. Most of it is junk. Old invoices for landscaping. Meeting minutes that skip entire months. And then I find it. A complaint form dated 6 months ago. It is for the neighbor who got the landscaping fine. The handwriting is identical to the complaint form Heather wrote for me. Same pen, same phrasing, same signature at the bottom. I take a photo and send it to Marcus. He texts back, you need to get the originals compared. Handwriting analysis. I text back, I do not have time for that. He replies, then you need the trump card. Now. I drive home and pull out the insurance document. I read it 3 times, making sure I understand every clause. Then I draft an email to my attorney. I explain the situation. I attach the insurance rider. I ask him to send a demand letter to the HOA with attachments that forces them to respond. He calls me an hour later. This is solid. If they are violating the insurance policy requirements, they are putting the entire association at risk. I will send the letter tomorrow. The letter goes out the next morning. It is addressed to the board president and the management company. It outlines the harassment pattern. It cites the insurance policy clause. It demands immediate corrective action and a written response within 7 business days. It includes copies of the tow log, the email thread from Eric, the backdated complaint screenshot, and the recording of Heather threatening me. Then my attorney does something brilliant. He sends a copy to the HOA's insurance company directly. 2 days later, Diane calls me again. Her voice is tight. The board wants to meet with you. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. at the management office. I will be there. I hang up and text Marcus. It is happening. He texts back. Bring the binder. Do not back down. I show up at 9 a.m. sharp. The lobby is empty except for Ron and one other board member, a woman named Susan. Diane is sitting behind the counter, her forced smile gone. Heather is not there. Ron gestures to a chair. Sit down. I sit. I set my binder on the table. Ron clears his throat. We received a letter from your attorney. We have also been contacted by our insurance company. They are conducting their own review of the complaint resolution process. I nod. Good. Susan leans forward. We want to resolve this. What do you want? I open the binder. I want a full records audit completed within 30 days. I want the results posted publicly. I want a written apology from Heather Walker on the record in front of the entire association. And I want the board to adopt new hearing rules so residents cannot be railroaded by a single board member. Ron and Susan exchange a glance. Susan speaks first. We can do the audit. We can adopt new hearing rules. But we cannot force Heather to apologize. She is an elected board member. Then you need to remove her. Ron shakes his head. That requires a recall vote. We cannot do that unilaterally. I close the binder. Then we are done here. My attorney will proceed with the insurance claim. If the insurer denies coverage because of your failure to maintain proper procedures, every homeowner in this association is going to be on the hook for the liability. Susan's face goes pale. Wait. I stand up. You have 7 days to respond to the demand letter. After that, it is out of my hands. I walk out of the office. My phone buzzes before I even get to my truck. It is Marcus. How did it go? I text back. I drop the trump card. Now we wait. That night, I get an email from Diane. The subject line is, Emergency Board Meeting Agenda. The message says the board is calling a special meeting for Friday night. The agenda includes a vote on adopting new hearing procedures and a discussion of Heather's role as records custodian. I forward the email to Marcus. He texts back. They are folding. You won. Not yet, I text back. I still need the apology on the record. Friday comes. I show up at the management office again. This time the lobby is packed. More neighbors than the last meeting. Eric is there. Carla is there. Even the guy who told me I was making trouble shows up. Ron calls the meeting to order. He reads through the agenda quickly, then gets to the main item. Motion to adopt revised hearing procedures. Susan reads the new procedures aloud. All complaints must be reviewed by the full board before enforcement action. No single board member can issue a notice or fine without a majority vote. All records requests must be fulfilled within 10 business days, with no off-site storage delays. Residents have the right to appeal any enforcement action within 30 days, with no format restrictions. Ron calls for a vote. All in favor? Every hand goes up except one. Heather is sitting in the back row, arms crossed, her flashlight on the table in front of her. She does not raise her hand. The motion passes. Ron makes a note on his clipboard. Next item. Records custodian role. Heather stands up. I do not need to sit here for this. Ron looks at her. You are welcome to leave, but the board will be voting on whether to reassign your custodian duties. She grabs her flashlight and heads for the door. Then Carla stands up again. Wait. Before you go, I want to hear your apology. Heather stops. What? Carla crosses her arms. You owe everyone in this room an apology. You have been abusing your position for months. You have been targeting residents with fake fees and backdated complaints. You have been stonewalling records requests and threatening people with liens. So apologize. On the record. Heather's face turns red. I do not owe anyone anything. Carla does not move. Then we are calling a recall vote. Right now. Ron looks panicked. That is not on the agenda. Carla pulls out her phone. It does not need to be. I have signatures from 12 homeowners requesting a recall. That is more than 10%. The bylaws say we can call a vote at any meeting if we have the signatures. She walks to the front and hands Ron a stack of papers. He flips through them, his face pale. Then he looks at Heather. You have two options: apologize and resign as records custodian, or we proceed with the recall vote and you lose your board seat entirely. Heather stands there, frozen. Her key ring jangles as she shifts her weight. Finally, she speaks, her voice tight. I apologize for any confusion regarding the records process. I will step down as custodian effective immediately. Carla shakes her head. That is not good enough. Say it for real. Heather glares at her. Fine. I apologize for the way I handled the enforcement process. I should have followed proper procedures. I am stepping down as records custodian. Ron makes a note. Motion to accept Heather's resignation as records custodian? Every hand goes up. The motion passes. Heather walks out without another word. Her key ring falls off her belt again and clatters onto the floor. This time, someone kicks it under a chair. The meeting wraps up quickly after that. Ron schedules a follow-up vote for the full records audit. Diane announces that the association will be hiring a third-party vendor to handle all records requests going forward. The vendor will have no connection to the board. I walk out of the lobby feeling like I can finally breathe. Marcus is waiting in the parking lot. He grins. You did it. I nod. Yeah. But it is not over yet. The audit takes another 3 weeks. The third-party vendor goes through every file box, every invoice, every complaint form. They find 17 cases where Heather altered timestamps or backdated notices. They find 6 cases where she issued fines without board approval. They find 4 cases where she deleted emails from the portal to cover her tracks. The vendor submits a full report to the Division of Real Estate. Alan calls me a week later. We are recommending disciplinary action against the association and Miss Walker personally. The association will be required to implement corrective measures and undergo annual audits for the next 3 years. Miss Walker will be prohibited from serving in any HOA leadership role in Colorado for 5 years. I thank him and hang up. Then I sit down at my kitchen table and open my evidence binder one last time. I flip through every page. The tow log. The email thread from Eric. The backdated complaint screenshot. The recording of Heather threatening me. The insurance document. The handwriting samples. The audit report. It is all there. Every piece of the cold case. Solved. 2 months after the audit, the HOA holds a special election to fill Heather's board seat. Carla runs and wins by a landslide. One of the first things she does is implement a written records production schedule that Karen cannot interfere with. Every request gets a tracking number. Every document gets a timestamp. Every delay gets flagged automatically and escalated to the full board. The second thing Carla does is post the full audit report on the HOA website. Every homeowner gets an email with a link. The report includes a timeline of Heather's abuses, the corrective measures the association is taking, and a formal apology from the board. I get a copy of the apology letter in the mail. It is signed by Ron, Susan, and Carla. It acknowledges that the board failed to provide adequate oversight of the records custodian. It commits to annual transparency audits. It includes a personal apology to me and Eric and the other residents who were targeted. I frame the letter and hang it on my wall. A month later, I am walking to my truck when I see Eric near the mailbox cluster. He waves me over. Hey, I just wanted to say thank you. If you had not pushed this, I would still be dealing with her. I shake his head. You helped me. That email thread was the key. He grins. Yeah, but you are the one who figured out the backdating. That was brilliant. We talk for a few more minutes, and then he heads back to his unit. I stand there for a moment looking at the neighborhood. The puddles are gone. The scattered papers have been cleaned up. The orange reflective markers have disappeared. It feels quieter now. Calmer. That night, I get a text from Marcus. I heard the Division of Real Estate hit the HOA with a compliance order. Congrats. I text back. Thanks. Could not have done it without you. He replies. You did the hard part. You kept digging when everyone else gave up. I sit on my porch and watch the sun set over the retention pond. The neighborhood is peaceful, the kind of peace that comes after a storm. A few weeks after the compliance order, I get a call from Alan at the Division of Real Estate. He tells me the association has completed all the corrective measures. The new records vendor is operational. The annual audit schedule is locked in. The hearing procedures have been updated and posted publicly. And Heather? I ask. She has been removed from all HOA leadership roles in the state. If she tries to run for a board seat anywhere in Colorado, the division will be notified automatically. Good. He pauses. I wanted to let you know that your complaint was one of the most thorough we have seen. You made our job a lot easier. I appreciate that. We hang up. I sit there for a minute, thinking about everything that happened. The tow threat. The backdated complaints. The moving goalposts. The audit. The meeting ambush. The trump card. The apology. It all comes back to one thing. I wrote down every word, because later I plan to read them back to her. And I did. If you want to see more HOA revenge stories where the paper trail wins, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for the next one. That weekend I run into Diane at the grocery store. She sees me and hesitates, like she is deciding whether to say something. Finally, she walks over. I wanted to apologize, she says. I should have pushed back when Heather started stonewalling you. I knew it was wrong, but I did not want to lose my job. I nod. I get it. But you could have helped earlier. She looks down. I know. I am trying to do better now. Carla has me on a tight leash. I smile a little. Good. That is how it should be. She nods and walks away. I finish my shopping and head home. A month later, the HOA posts the results of the first annual transparency audit. The report includes a summary of all enforcement actions, all records requests, and all board votes. Everything is time-stamped. Everything is public. Everything is traceable. I download a copy and skim through it. There are no phantom fees. No backdated complaints. No deleted emails. Just clean records and proper procedures. It is exactly what the neighborhood needed. 6 months after the audit, I am sitting on my porch when Carla walks by. She stops and sits down on the steps. How are you doing? She asks. Good. Quiet. She laughs. Yeah. It has been a lot quieter since Heather left. I heard she tried to run for a board seat in Littleton. Carla grins. She did. The Division of Real Estate flagged it, and the association rejected her application. She is done. Good. We sit there for a minute, watching the neighborhood. Then Carla speaks again. You know, a lot of people were scared to push back against her. They thought she had all the power, but you proved that the records always win. I nod. Yeah, as long as you write it down. She stands up and heads back toward her unit. I stay on the porch for a while longer, watching the sun set over the retention pond. The neighborhood feels different now, not just quieter, safer. Like the rules actually mean something again. A year after the audit, the HOA holds its annual meeting. I show up, not because I have to, but because I want to see how things are running now. The meeting is calm, organized. Every motion gets a proper discussion. Every vote is recorded. Every resident who speaks gets their full time without interruption. Carla is running the meeting, and she does it well. She keeps things moving without railroading anyone. She asks for questions. She listens. She takes notes. At the end of the meeting, she makes an announcement. The board has voted to establish a resident advisory committee. The committee will review all enforcement actions before they go to a hearing. The goal is to make sure nobody gets targeted the way some of our residents were targeted in the past. The room applauds. I clap too. After the meeting, Eric walks over. You sticking around? For now. My lease is up in 6 months, but I might renew. He nods. You should. It is a good neighborhood now. I smile. Yeah. It is. 2 years after the audit, I am packing up my truck to move. I decided not to renew my lease, not because of the HOA, but because I got a promotion at work and I am relocating to Boulder. The neighborhood is in good shape now, and I feel like I can leave it in better hands than when I found it. Carla stops by as I am loading the last box. You are really leaving? Yeah. New job. New city. She hands me an envelope. The board wanted to give you this. I open it. Inside is a letter on HOA letterhead. It thanks me for my service to the community. It acknowledges that my complaint led to major reforms. It includes a refund check for every fee Heather charged me. I look up at Carla. You did not have to do this. She shrugs. You earned it. I fold the letter and put it in my jacket pocket. Thanks. She smiles. If you ever move back, we will save you a board seat. I laugh. No thanks. I am done with HOA drama. She waves as I drive away. I take one last look at the neighborhood in my rearview mirror. The retention pond. The mailbox cluster. The street where I fought Heather for months. It looks peaceful now, like a place where people can actually live without fear. A few months after I moved to Boulder, I get an email from Eric. He tells me the HOA just completed its second annual transparency audit. No violations, no complaints, just clean records. He also tells me that Heather tried to file a lawsuit against the association, claiming they violated her rights by forcing her to resign. The lawsuit was dismissed within a month. The judge ruled that the board acted properly and that Heather's conduct justified her removal. I reply to Eric's email. Thanks for the update. Glad to hear things are still running smoothly. He writes back. You set the standard. We are just following it. I close my laptop and sit back in my chair. The cold case is officially closed. The records are clean. The rules are fair. And Heather is permanently sidelined. It took months of digging, months of documenting, months of pressure, but in the end, the paper trail won. Looking back, the whole thing started with a lie. Heather yelled that the tow vendor was owed money and I was the easiest target. She thought she could railroad me with fake fees and backdated complaints. She thought I would just pay up and move on. But I did not. I dug deeper. I found the cold case. I connected the clues. I caught the culprit. And I forced the HOA to answer for what they buried. The key was simple. I wrote down every word. I kept every receipt. I documented every interaction. And when the time came, I read it all back to her. That is how you win against an HOA. Not with anger. Not with confrontation. With a written records production schedule that Karen cannot interfere with. With evidence that cannot be denied. With a trump card that flips the entire power dynamic. And when the dust settles, you make sure the rules change so nobody else gets railroaded. The HOA changes hearing rules so residents cannot be railroaded. Karen is forced to apologize on the record in front of the room. And the neighborhood finally has the accountability it deserves. I learned a lot from that fight. I learned that the people with the most authority are often the ones who abuse it the most. I learned that moving goalposts only work if you let them. And I learned that a well-organized binder is more powerful than any flashlight or laminated policy sheet. If you are dealing with an HOA that is targeting you, do not give up. Document everything. Find your allies. Follow the procedures. And if the procedures do not work, File a complaint with the state. The Division of Real Estate exists for a reason. And if you ever catch someone backdating a complaint or deleting records, do not let it slide. That is fraud. That is obstruction. And that is your ticket to flipping the entire case. Until the next HOA story, take care, and I will see you soon.